back to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And this is Thanksgiving week. And I know last week we talked a little bit about sort of some Thanksgiving traditions and some things that we like to do. And it kind of blended into a little bit of a Christmas episode almost. We started talking about holiday decorations and the number of trees Ford's wife likes to put up or would like to put up.
Is going to put up
potentially. But today we are just taking a couple minutes here to talk about being thankful. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we talk about this every time with all the holidays. Like the word has transitioned a little bit, you know, like Thanksgiving is turkey, family get-togethers and stuff like that. But it's about being thankful. That was the original intention, at least the way we read it in our books. And, you know, I think it's important. We talk about it, you know, part of what the podcast is to call out the team members that are helping us and doing great things. And, you know, this is just one of those times a year in particular that we really need to be distinct and be appropriately for everybody, you know, what everyone does to allow us to do this podcast or allow us to be the company that we are. And so I think it's good that we just kind of take a couple minutes and kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, it's you look at it and you're thankful because we're here, right? Like in other words, because we have been able to do this for, you know, varying degrees of up to 20 years, you know, that Ford decided he wanted to go out and try and find his own way. And then he just kept picking people and adding them to the group and growing the team, and that we're here and we're able to show up every day and provide, you know, put food on the table every day, every week for a lot of families and build a bigger family than just ourselves, you know, bigger than just, you know, Tom and Carol Berg and their kids, bigger than just Ford and some of his friends, bigger than, you know, just the people that he started with and build it out and continue to grow. And then really try and be intentional about saying thank you, because it's not Brian or myself or Ford who put food on people's tables anymore. You know, like right. We all have responsibilities we have to take care of and manage and try and move everything forward so that the company works and it does what it's supposed to do. But there's a lot of people out there doing hard work every day to make sure that a lot of people eat. And so, I mean, I know I appreciate that.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And this is always one of those times of year. This is one of those topics that I feel like when it comes around, we're always so, I don't want to say cautious of like not being generic, right? We don't want this to be, and I say this like fully knowing that I really like some of the John Gordon type stuff, like the thank you walk type mentality. But a lot of that comes off as contrived and generic and forced. And that's not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be just a genuine couple minutes here, attempt to say like we don't say it often enough. The things that our folks do day in and day out are very difficult, very challenging. They work long, hard hours in good and bad conditions. And we couldn't do any of this if it weren't for the individual efforts that really each one of our teammates were making. And I think it's just an opportune time, of course, to acknowledge that.
Well, that is to see, you know, every year people grow. They grow into their roles or they grow past the roles and get promoted and because they're doing great work. And the other part that we have to be, I think sometimes we definitely want to talk about our team, but at the same time, we don't live in a vacuum. You know, we have great subcontractors, great vendors, some great clients. Like, you know, it's this whole process that works together in order to make it happen. And so while, you know, we can individually, you know, be thankful for our team, we have to think of all the people that help us, you know, from the outside as well. And so, you know, you can't do anything by yourself. It's part of the team. That's why we like to use the team metaphor so much, because it takes everyone to make it happen.
Well, and even beyond that, Ford, I start to think about when, you know, you go macro, but then you come back to even smaller than that, even micro. You know, the individual people that I work with on a daily basis that enable me to do what I am supposed to do, what I'm trying to do in any given day. and how much I appreciate them. And I think that we are all intentional about letting people know, like, we appreciate it. And so I don't want to lose sight of the fact, as we say, thank you to everyone at the company. Thank you to all of the vendors out there who help us get through and get the materials we need every day, and the subcontractors who do work that we don't do. And I say thank you to all them, to not lose sight of the fact that I also want to thank, like, the individual people, you know what I mean? Not by name, but they know who they are. The people that I work with every single day directly to try to facilitate, moving the company forward, achieving what we're trying to achieve. And then they go out and they're an extension. And actually, as I sit here, what comes to mind is something we heard, and Herb Sargent said it about, he had said something to the effect of that every time you sign your name on a paper authorizing something, you're signing my grandfather's name, basically, right? And it was not even Herb, not Herb's dad, but the original guy. And sort of, I take that to heart, that Ford entrusted me with a lot of responsibility, some of it undeserving. You know what I mean? Like, I hadn't earned the trust, and he believed I could do it, and I've worked towards it and try and live up to what the expectation he wants me to. And I appreciate that from him. And I've tried to do that with my own team as the company's grown. But then seeing that piece and knowing that each of them then go out and they do their piece and they try and reach their group, and so on and so forth, until everybody in the company really knows that the person they're working with and the person they're working for, in their feeling, that they know they're appreciated. Because I want to operate like Ford doesn't have to give me, a pat on the back and say, like, you did a great job. If Ford was upset, he would tell me. But there comes a time once in a while when you like to hear it. And that's sort of what this is, right? It's just saying, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We couldn't do what we do without you.
Yeah. For a couple of episodes ago, probably longer than that, you started to use this analogy, and maybe you stole it from somewhere else.
Probably read it somewhere.
Probably.
But the puzzle analogy, where, we're all building a puzzle, and we often don't recognize, like, the way our piece of the puzzle fits into the greater picture of whatever that puzzle might be. And I've used that analogy a couple of times since you said it on the podcast, and I love the way that, like, even in this moment when we're talking about the individual components of what makes Berg Construction tick, right? Whether it's our office staff, whether it's our field staff, our foremen, our subcontractors, the GCs that we work with, like, each one of those pictures is being built independently, but none of it works together, kind of like the inner workings of a clock or a watch, right? Unless each piece is ticking. And one of the things that, and the analogy works so well when you say it, because when I think about something that Dan just said, like, you've empowered so many people to sort of, like, just do their piece. And when each one of us is, like, empowered to do that piece, to build our piece of the puzzle, sometimes without knowing what the rest of the puzzle is supposed to look like that level of trust is important. And I think that, Dan, you do a really nice job of it, like, empowering your project managers to empower their foremen. And they don't always know what the whole picture looks like, but the fact that each one of them is willing to build their piece of the puzzle, knowing that there is something else happening outside of that small component, I think that's really cool. It's something that really has, like, stuck with me here in the last, who knows, I don't even know how long ago he said that.
And it is a great analogy, because it's, when you your kids are older, we talk about it, yours
right.
you're younger. But when you like look at a puzzle, there's no piece of a puzzle that's any more important than the other piece. It wasn't
right.
like when you talk about Pennsylvania specifically, and they say, like, the Keystone State, and it's that key piece, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because of the fit. But you don't know that in and of itself, right? Like, when you see especially a jigsaw puzzle, there's no piece that's more important. The greater picture is the thing. Like, you're building this thing that is the totality of it, and it's greater than the sum of its pieces. And the pieces, that's why it's so interesting of an analogy. The pieces, nobody has any real idea of what we're building.
Right.
As we build it, we're just doing our piece. You know what I mean? To use, like, our one sports analogy, I'll start it is like the Greg Schiano thing about just keep chopping, right?
Sure.
Like, just keep going to work every day and doing what you believe you're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm thankful every day I come to work, and beyond thankful, I'm amazed. Like, there is a part of me that's just, I I can't quite believe it that we actually have done this thing, built this thing, and it's become what it's become. And I'm really proud of it. You know what I mean? I'm proud of it. And on any number of our jobs that I look at and see what I do, it's amazing what our team does.
Yeah.
And Ford might be, the one person who could do all the pieces, in some like odd sense of like the person who could do it. Ford could be the laborer or the operator or the foreman or the PM or the estimator or the COO or the, operations manager or the president. He could be anything he wants. He's been all of those things, but the rest of us are just trying to build a puzzle that Ford himself, as the creator of the puzzle, doesn't actually know what the puzzle is supposed to look like. Like, he built the prototype of what the puzzle would be and then said, go build a bigger puzzle, go build this, and so it is an interesting analogy, and it's got to be a weird seat to sit in his seat, is to now just sit there and move from flying the plane to now you're just, you're a passenger who's trying to give some advice from not the driver's seat.
Backseat driving, my favorite. But I think the other thing, I was just thinking back on the fall event we had, and, our team members do wonderful things, but, it's their families that are around them that allow them to do those things, that allow them to work the long hours, support them in however they need supported. I think that is a big thing because, we talk about it. There's a lot of challenges in construction and heavy civil in general. And having a good support system around you is super important. And when we see those support systems actually being able to be around us at the same time, that's really a cool thing to see all those people because, they're all affected by what our team members do, whether they have to come home late one night or maybe they have to go in bad weather or, they had a rough day, like all of that stuff, all these people that we don't get to see on a daily basis that get to feel all of the feels that we do, but we don't get to see that. And so that's all a really important piece. And the funny part is, I guess I never really was a big puzzle guy as a kid. My dad and mom loved to do puzzles. And I'm always like, you're putting all those pieces together. Right, there's the picture already. Why are we doing the pieces? Like, just do the, it's kind of a funny thing. But I mean, that's one of the neat parts is that maybe this is like a AI or like a, screen generated thing because the cool part is the puzzle can keep changing. Like we still do our pieces and the puzzle fits together, but the final picture has yet to be drawn. So, we're building our pieces. We're doing what we need to do, but what it's going to actually look like, yet to be determined. It hasn't been, it's not already, signed in yet.
That's like a deep thought from Ford there, right? Is that we're building, it's a really eloquent way of putting that. Very simple, but we're building a puzzle that we don't know what the puzzle is.
Yeah.
Nobody truly knows what we're building. Even the people that are building it don't know because there's no limit to it. It's possibilities are endless of what we can do with this. It just depends on what each of the people constructing the pieces want it to be. The bigger, the grander they make it, the more efficient, the better they are, the bigger the puzzle gets, and maybe more than the picture is that's the interesting piece is like the complexity of the puzzle is virtually endless. You can make this as complex as you want in a good way, touching as many people as you can by just doing your piece and being really good at it. And then, it allows for someone else to have another piece.
Right. I mean, you think about it, like back to like you put a piece of pipe in the ground and you tie a sewer line in, right? And I mean, okay, you put 40 foot of pipe in or you put 20 foot of copper in for a water line. You don't know how many people that touches, like not just internal to us, but like everyone that washes their hands in that facility, everyone that uses the facilities in that facility, like you're touching and helping all of those people, even though you're not getting to. And I think the biggest thing with the puzzle, like if we have to think about it a little bit more, is that like the main thing we don't ever want to have at this point in our careers is the edge pieces yet, right? Like we're building this puzzle from the inside out and not the outside in. Like usually with a puzzle, you always try and find the corners and your edges and block yourself in. Here, we're building this puzzle from the inside out. And so the edges still aren't on the table yet.
It's like there's, I don't know, with my girls, sometimes they'll do it. And I don't know if Matt and Gabrielle will do it, but they'll each like take a piece of the puzzle and start putting the puzzle together without the ends. I don't know why they do it that way, but it's so that the three of them can do it. And then at some point they'll realize that their puzzle ties together and all of a sudden like they've built a puzzle, and then they got to just put the ancillary pieces around that close out the outside, which is it's not like how I would approach an actual puzzle. I would build the outside in because then you know what you're building.
Right.
But it does limit you. And that's not what we're doing. We're saying, let's keep building and figure out. We'll find the end when we get there.
Taking the pieces we have, putting them together in the way we can see fit. and expanding on it.
Yeah, and then go get some more pieces.
Yeah, go get.
Then we have a utility knife and a file. If we need to make a couple edges match up, we can do that.
Utility tool. We can round some edges if we have to.
Yeah, be a little creative at times, right? How the pieces fit together.
So, but it is one of those things. We sit here and you say it every year, so it feels a little rote, but it's not meant to be that way. It's meant to be as genuine as I can make it feel that my family appreciates everything that we have every day that are made possible by what everybody in the field does.
Well, and actually it's become like, we do a lot of podcasts every year, and this is actually one of the ones that like, it has some ulterior motive, or, it has like some more meaning to it than others. Right. So like, it does, like a little quiche, that it's going to be on Thanksgiving week or whatever it is going to be a little on the nose, but the reality is it's like to look forward to, because it's like one of those times where you get to just reflect and just spend some time thinking about it versus just like off the cuff type things. So you can actually kind of pull your thoughts together a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
And then next week we can just go back to talking about nothing again. We can Seinfeld next week.
Look forward to more nonsense. The beatings will continue.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a fair place to wrap it up. From each one of us, we thank you. We thank you all. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing. Thank you for allowing us to do what we've been doing.